Hi guys, welcome back to TV Spoilers. Today I'm going to reveal Billy's secret revenge plan, which could plunge Billy into a crisis and a dead end. Emotional vengeance fuels Sally's desire for revenge against Billy. Sally uses Abbott Communications to bring down Billy. Sally Spectra, as the head of Abbott Communications appointed by Billy, will use this position to publish a series of investigative articles or reports shedding light on Billy's questionable business dealings when he acquired Chancellor and Newman Media. She will expose Billy's obsessive revenge motives, damaging his professional reputation and causing partners in the public to question his integrity. Sally's desire for revenge against Billy isn't impulsive or driven by a momentary fit of jealousy. It's like a long-simmering undercurrent, built up from countless times she told herself she needed to be more mature, more professional, and stop letting emotions control her decisions. But in Genoa City, where power and sentiment are intertwined like tangled threads, one is rarely allowed to be pure in any chance. Billy gave Sally Abbott Communications a sign of trust, a way of demonstrating his respect for her abilities and ambitions. However, that very act inadvertently placed in Sally's hands the sharpest weapon, one whose weight she understood better than anyone. The power to control the narrative, the power to decide through which lens the public would view a person. If Sally had previously been framed by prejudice and manipulated by rivals through whispered gossip behind closed doors, now she stood in a position to do the same to Billy. Not with cheap rumors, but with a series of articles that appeared proper, ethical, and most dangerously presented as an effort for transparency. What chilled Sally wasn't the possibility of hurting Billy, but the fact that she could do it legally, justifiably, and even with praise. When Billy won Chancellor and Newman Media, the atmosphere in Genoa City quickly changed. The conversations in the company hallways, the glances exchanged in society, the unfinished sentences followed by silences, all carried the feeling that some kind of victory had just occurred, but no one believed it was clean. Billy could call it strategy, a necessary gamble to confront Victor, a move to reclaim what he believed he deserved. But to Sally, the more she watched, the more she saw in that victory an unnamed obsession, a motive of personal revenge disguised as a businessman. She had witnessed Billy repeatedly caught in self-destructive spirals, times he swore to change, only to plunge back into the same abyss again, all because of a wounded pride. And now, his newfound power didn't reassure Sally, it frightened her. Because if Billy did everything just to satisfy his thirst for victory over Victor, then anyone standing beside him could become a sacrificial lamb when that thirst demanded more blood. Sally began by doing her role properly. Abbott Communications under her leadership couldn't just be a polished PR machine. It had to create buzz, prove its worth, convince people that Sally wasn't just placed in the position by Billy's whim. She planned like a true executive, scouring market hotspots, identifying topics that would attract readers, and most importantly, choosing approaches that made their media brand appear as a powerful oversight body, not a mouthpiece for a faction. On the surface, it was professional ambition. But deep down, Sally knew she was setting a stage for Billy, not as the victor, but as the object for scrutiny. She quietly launched an investigation into the acquisitions of Chancellor and Newman Media, starting with the smallest details: the timing of the signing, the structure of the deal, the unusual speed of completion, the signs of shortcuts that shrewd media professional could spot. Sally didn't need to fabricate the truth. She simply arranged it in a way that made it seem suspicious. She connected the internal relationships she had built over the years, people who owed Sally a favor, people who wanted to be heard in the new building of power, people who simply hated Billy and were just waiting for an excuse to stab him in the back. Sally didn't yell or command. She hinted, asked questions, dropped a cryptic remark like bait, and let them swim to it. This very calmness was terrifying, because it showed that she wasn't just being driven by emotion, she was using emotion as a tool. The drama of the story lies not just in Sally attacking Billy, but in the fact that both are battling the worst versions of themselves. Billy wants to prove he can win without becoming Victor, but each step he takes makes Victor suspect he's mimicking Victor with a different voice. Sally wants to prove she can stand firm through talent, but the path she chooses is closer to the manipulation she once hated. And Genoa City, as always, doesn't care who hurts more. The city only cares who wins, who loses, and who falls more spectacularly under the spotlight. But the more I look closely, the more it resembles a loop. The hurt learns to hurt, then convinces himself that it's justice. Sally may be right about Billy's shady dealings, and Billy may believe he's doing it all for the greater cause. But in the space between right and wrong, what disappears fastest is always kindness, the ability to sit down together as human beings instead of enemies. And perhaps the most terrifying thing isn't Billy's downfall, but Sally having to live with the final silent question. When everything is over, will she still recognize herself? On our TV Spoilers channel, I always seek content inspiration for each video by compiling short video clips to analyze and offer my personal opinions. This channel specializes in analyzing, theorizing, and discussing plot points in the Young and the Restless series from a perspective of a longtime fan. Through this, viewers can gain deeper, more objective, and more interesting perspectives. Subscribe to the channel to stay updated on the latest news about the Young and the Restless series.